Ta-da! So today I wanted to share a little bit more on African spirituality and on something that my grandparents always keep repeating. If you are like me and you've been to your village and you live in the village, you know that the village rhythm is really different from the city. It has nothing to do with that. Even in most African countries and in most African places, the rhythm in the city and the rhythm in the village has nothing apart. If you are still in contact or go to traditional village, you'll see that there's no nightclubs, there's no concert and things like that. At night, people actually go and sleep. That's what you do at night. Now and more you start having some more activities because they weren't trying to retain the youth there, so they're trying to bring some of the stuff like that. But I'm glad that I said the last time I went to my village, there were still no cinemas, no movie theater, there was still no nightclub and things of that nature. I don't know how long they're going to stand, but for so far so good. And there is this kind of principle, and all of the African tradition that I've been through, and most of the indigenous tradition that I've also studied, have kind of the same principle. The principle that at night you're supposed to be quiet. At night you're supposed to be quiet. Nighttime is not the time where you're supposed to be yelling and screaming and doing all kinds of different things and activities. Of course, sometimes there are specific ceremonies that have to go on at night, but usually most of the dancing and all of the ceremonies are done during the day, unless there's something specific that has to be done at night. For the most part. But for the regular folks, the common folks, normally supposed to be doing anything that will cause disruption or a lot of noise at night. One of the things, and we learn this as, since you're a toddler, you learn that, when the sun goes down and everybody is going to sleep, it's time to be quiet. It's not the time to start yelling or crying and anything like that. And you learn that really, really young, so that you respect the time, you respect the night time. And of course, in the village, most people, my grandmother still wake up at 4 a.m. every morning without having to have a clock. She wakes up when the sun wakes up. So are people who live at that, because you get into that rhythm of life. Okay, it becomes like synced with your internal clock. So you wake up and then you see the sun is actually either rising or already up, and then when you're going to start feeling tired, it's going to be when the sun is going down. So it could be around 9 p.m. around that time. So 9 p.m. or a little bit earlier, depending on where you are. But so the principle is that at night you have to be quiet. And it has to do with the fact that the visible world and the invisible world are always together. They are always connected. And for people who are not sensitive during the day, you won't necessarily feel anything or see anything, but at night, this is when you are more able to feel and to see. If you just stay awake at night and you don't make any noise, you're going to start feeling and seeing things that you may not have been able to see during the day or to even feel during the day. And I've mentioned in other videos that it's not because you have the lights on that whatever you think was scaring you is gone. It's just that your perception has shifted and your focus has shifted to something else that enables you not to think about the other thing that's still present there with you. Unless it left when you turn on the lights, which depends, it probably still is there. So it's like having a torch and going through a sacred space where there's a guardian. The fact that you see the guardian when the torch is off or when it's on, he's still going to be there because you can't leave that space. He's there to protect that space. So when the night comes, this is when the invisible world becomes much more active. Much more active to the point where people who are not sensitive are now much more able to feel what is going on and sometimes even perceive certain things. And I mean, some will even go as far as saying that the connection between the visible and the invisible really thins up. And so you are more inclined to actually perceive things and say things. It's just one way to see that. It's just like in the night you have a lot of animals that go to sleep. And then you have the nocturnal animals that wake up and become active and start doing kind of things. They start eating, they start doing all the fighting, all the different things that they would do or that the other animal do during the day. So at night, it's the same thing for the spirit world. It's like there are spirits that awaken when it's nighttime. They're awakened and they have things to do. And by you making noise, first you may be just, attracting attention to yourself, attention that you may not necessarily want, depending on what spirits is around. Second, you may just be causing noise and disrupting them. And so just be careful what you're doing, because you don't know who's passing by or what's there around you at that time. So they always just say, just be quiet. And even by being quiet, you can sit there and be quiet and just observe. You can go in the forest at night and just stand there or sit there and observe and feel different things and witness different things and be shown different things because you're quiet. And that's the other thing. If you were to be introduced to certain things and to being shown certain things, then you need to be quiet so you can observe, so you can actually experience what you're supposed to experience. By being loud or making too much noise, you're going to disrupt everything. And so people who can stand still, who can be quiet, are not going to have that kind of experience. They're probably not even going to be introduced to certain spaces. It's like if they know you can't act, you don't know how to act, they're not going to bring you certain places because you're going to be disruptive. You're going to mess everything for everyone else. So you teach the child since a young age to be cognizant of the night and to be understanding and respectful of the night. The power of the night is as much important as the power of the day. I keep always having to underline this because a lot of people focus on the day. They focus on the sun, and they kind of like, for them, the sun is a unique thing in the world, is everything. But I have sometimes to underline that there are plants, there are animals who don't necessarily need the sun, who never see the sun, and continue to live and continue to go around about the business. In the same way, there are people who are so highly dependent on the sun, and that starting the fall and the winter, they started being depressed, they started having all kind of mental challenges because of that. And also this entering in that, when you start having those kind of mental challenges and depression, it's very, very important that you immediately start addressing those things and that you remedy that. Because if you don't, then you're opening yourself to all kind of things. You're opening your little negativity that you had into something else. Entities can now come and attach to you and feed up that negativity and give you more of that. So it's really important that you pay attention to your thoughts, and that you evaluate your own self and observe your own self to know whether you are somebody who actually really, really synced in with the sun and who actually needs the sun. And the best thing for that then is for you to move south. For you, ultimately, the best thing for you will be for you to be closer to the equator where you have the maximum sun. Okay, and then there are people, however, who don't feel any changes like that. Like, the sun is here, great. The sun is not there, great. Life goes on the same with the same type of rhythm, and they're not affected. That doesn't make them better, because they will have other challenges. There are other challenges associated with that. It's never because somebody seems to be better than you or seems to be doing better in certain specific areas that this person doesn't have any challenges at all. Otherwise, they won't be here. We're all here because we need to have certain experiences, learn, and overcome certain challenges, overcome certain things, so that we increase our perception and we increase our knowledge and our wisdom to be able to better serve ourselves and serve others and serve the universe. Okay, so don't think that because somebody is not affected by the sun, or even if you just like me, you're not that much affected by the sun, it doesn't mean that you're a super person or anything like that. Because believe me, there are other things that you may be affected by, that you may perceive, that other people won't perceive, that may be as challenging as the challenge that people who are highly affected by the sun may have. Okay? And so, as the night and the day meet and the day leaves and the night takes over, now a whole bunch of entities and things like become super active and started going about the business. If they're quiet during the day, they were waiting for the moment for them to be active, so they respect our space and our time during the day, and then they become and go do what they need to do at night. So that's why at night, just go to sleep and mind your business, go get the rest that your body needs to get out of there and do all the things you can do outside of your body through dream work and all the different stuff. You kind of have a latitude of things you can do, but don't disrupt those this balance. Don't disrupt the spirits around you unless you prepare for what's going to come for you, unless you are doing this for specific reasons in a specific context. And I understand that sometimes people may disrupt things without knowing, and be faced with things that they can't necessarily face, or that they will have a difficult and a hard time facing, and that can lead them to further hardship. That's why always being careful is the best policy. Don't think about disrupting things. Just think about how would you behave at night, especially when you can't really see anything, or your natural, or the senses that you rely most seem to be less efficient. Of course, you have ways to train yourself by staying in the dark and starting to train yourself, your vision to see in the dark, your sense of smell, all of that to be much more heightened at night. But that's something you train yourself. If you don't do it, if that's not innate, if when the light goes on, if you start being scared and all different things, that may not be the path for you. It may take a lot longer for you to train yourself to see. Similarly, if you are sometimes, well, it depends. Sometimes if you have bad sight during the day, sometimes you will have your worst sight at night. But for in a certain number of people actually have bad sight during the day, but at night they actually are able to see even better, because they're not using their eyesight, they're using actually their mind to see. So you just to take that in consideration. But ultimately, in the village, I will tell you at night, be quiet. Do not attract attention to yourself. Just be quiet and go to rest. Okay? And the only people that usually have meetings at night and things of that nature are people who are initiated, people who are trained, people who know what's out there or have a good idea of what's out there. That's why usually those are not children. Those are not your average person running around. Now, when you look at that and you put at the modern world where you have this society where it's telling you, hey, you have to go party at night, and the music has to be blasting, and people are even in the habit of blasting music in their car, constantly having high amount of noises. And I think maybe in this city, it kind of, depending on where you are in the city and what's going on around, it kind of started molding, and everybody started getting used to that. While in fact, depending on where you are, that kind of noise is still a disruption. That kind of noise is still disrupting things depending on where you are. Especially, for example, if you live close to a forest, you live close by nature, and you will notice that people who actually decide to live in the countryside, who have farms, or who move to the countryside to be away from the city, at night, most of the time they are sleeping. At night, they're not blasting music loud at night. And that a lot of them, just because they sink into the rhythm of life in nature, they sink into the rhythm of life within that particular environment, and it's almost as a symbiotic thing where you just realize, you just know that is not appropriate. No, you don't necessarily need somebody to come tell you we were driving a mile by and we heard you blasting AC/DC at 3 a.m. in the morning. They won't have to tell you that. And so, unless they're doing a ritual, something specific. But it's to say that it's important for you to just ingrain in that some of the behaviors that you're learning in this modern society are behaviors that may not be acceptable at all if you go to nature, if you go and sit within nature. And within that environment, within that context, especially if you're working on yourself, you're working to improve yourself. As you work to improve yourself, you become more sensitive. You become much more in tune in terms of other people's emotion, the animals, the plant, everything around your surroundings. And you will see that certain behaviors may look less and less attractive to you, because a lot of these behaviors are fabricated. A lot of these behaviors result from conditioning and being in a controlled environment. And so sometimes you really have to go in there and just pull the things that don't serve you at all. the things that you don't even know why you're doing them. So you really do need to observe yourself and to observe what are the benefits that you're doing in all the actions that you've learned, because some of them are being taught in order for you to destroy yourself, in order for you to not be in sync with nature, in order for you not to be in sync with your environment, when in fact that's actually what's going to help you. You know, even when you do when you look at people trying to communicate with spirits and all that different stuff, usually they ask for everybody to be quiet so you can actually hear the spirit and you can actually listen. Because when you're quiet and you're not there to disrupt, of course, depending on what kind of spirit you're trying to talk to and how you're doing that, you know, I'm not, that's why I say I never recommend this kind of thing, especially when you don't know what you're doing, because it could end up really badly. But it's just to say that even people who know how to do it, there is a preparation for that, and you are never making a breach. You are easing into it through silence. Silence is the form of a gateway. Silence is a gateway to listen to other people's, to be able to sink into or sync with their feelings, with their emotions, their energy, by being silent. The same way when you're conversating with somebody or you're trying to know what somebody's trying to tell you, you have to be silent in order for you to be able to listen. You have to be silent for you to understand and know where this person is coming from. You won't be able to gain that if you're making all kind of noises and nobody can hear each other. So silence is really a gateway, and it is a powerful gateway that opens up at night. That opens up at night for your own benefits. But if you disrupt that silence, you know, what may come may come. So it's just for food for thought. It isn't to scare you or anything like that. It's just for something for you to take in consideration. Especially if sometimes you feel depleted. First, you really have to observe yourself to know, are you really impacted by the sun? For a lot of people and a lot of clients who have depression, when you notice that depression is seasonally, when depression starts coming in the fall and the winter, that means this is a time that you are really a solar person and you really need to address that. I will make another video in terms of a few things that you can do if this is the case. If you are somebody who's depending on the sun and who you've observed yourself and you've seen that this is particularly the particular period, fall and winter, where your depression or negative thoughts seems to creep out on you and give you challenges. So I'll give you some tips on that. But otherwise, I don't want to make this video too long, but I hope this was useful. And at the next time when you go somewhere else, when you go in the countryside, that you will just take the time to just appreciate the silence and listen. And maybe some of you who are a little bit more open will welcome the experience of just feeling the environment and hearing and seeing the things that let themselves be seen at night in the dim of the silence, instead of having some, you know, some pushed up or meshed up encounters, because you're disrupting the rhythm of the place where you are. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you in the next video.